All right, we're back with another Loveless Marriage. My name is Carl Butler, here with my wife.
Ebony Butler. And this is the Loveless Marriage.
We appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. We're doing, finishing up from last week, Are You the One? Before we go into it, like always, want to do a little housekeeping, a little sweeping, a little vacuuming, a little whatever. Please follow us on social media. Right there at the bottom of the screen, The Loveless Marriage. We're Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. Also, as you like the video, as you come in, please like and share the video right there. There it is. Yeah, please like and share the video. We appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Once again, we're talking, and also as you come in, please, we're answering questions and comments. Don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to leave your questions because we will be answering questions. Yeah.
Hi. It's been a crazy Monday, but we are here.
And it's Monday.
It is Monday.
It feels like a Monday.
It feels like a Monday today. Ooh, sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So we appreciate everyone for tuning in, talking about Are You the One? As our audience is building, also, as you're coming in, tonight we're going to announce our special guest, as you can see there on your screen. We're going to announce our guest speaker. We're going to, right there. We're going to announce our guest speaker tonight.
We all fancy tonight.
Yeah. But we appreciate you all for tuning in. As you come in, please say hello, please.
Yes.
Give us some hearts, give us some lights. Let us know that you're here. As we get started on the topic, Are You the One? Are you the one? We started last week talking about Are You the One? I think we got through 2 questions last week out of 5.
I guess. I can't remember.
We only did the first 2. So, and they're not really questions. They're statements to help you know if the one you are with is the one that you want to be with. I think that's probably the number one question me and Ebony gets asked is, how do I know they're the one? How do I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with this person?
Right. So there's nothing wrong with having good thought-provoking dialogue amongst you and your significant other, just so you all will be clear and on the same page. And even after you make your choice of saying I do, there's nothing wrong with continuing to talk about and continuing to reaffirm why, you said, I chose you, why, you are the one. So nothing's wrong with reaffirming that to the person that you're with, because everybody wants to hear and feel that sense of security in your relationship. So I told Carl that this is all him, so I'm just going to interject every now and again. Hi, Logan, our now faith brother.
Hey,
good to see you. Good to see you.
And she's lying. I'm not. Ebony always talks more than me, so.
Oh my God!
Y'all know what it is.
Come on now, but it's all good though.
Yeah. So getting into Are You the One? We're gonna go back to start with our third. Well, let's recap. Last week we taught the statement that you like the person you are when your partner's near. In other words, you like who you've become around them. Number 2 is you have a common purpose and you feel safe. You have a common purpose with this person and you feel safe even sharing your purpose with this person. So tonight we're starting with question 3. They're willing to put in the work. You have to ask yourself, are they willing to put in the work? This is one of the hardest ones, because a person can love you. That's why we started the Loveless Marriage. It's not all about love.
Right.
A person, they can really love you. They can really care about you. But are they willing to put in the work to show you that they really love you?
And I guess and also, are you willing to put in the work to keep up and maintain the relationship? Because both of you could like each other and want to be with each other, but sometimes you might not be ready to fully dive in and be in a committed relationship. I mean, you might know that this person is the one and you want to be with them, but for whatever reason, you can't fully commit. It may be your career. It may be, you're dealing with past hurts. Yeah. It may be fear of, starting out on the road of being together and having rejection come back into play. So you have to honestly assess, is this person in my life someone that I'm willing to invest in? Am I willing to take a chance at opening up myself again to possibly, be with someone the rest of my life?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times we say, are they willing to put in the work? Let's start here. Are they willing to work? I think that's a huge. That's
So are
just
you talking
huge
about
within
going
itself.
into a 9 to 5
Yeah,
work
I'm talking
or
about nine to
okay?
five work.
Oh,
And
not that, not work on the relationship, but
nah,
going into
just
a job.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll start with the natural first.
Okay.
But no, like, and that tells a lot about who they're going to be in the relationship, because if they are willing to get up every day and go to a job, and if they have that discipline where they know that in order to see a paycheck or to see results that you have to put in work, then they will be more likely to put in work in the relationship. And that's something that we have to examine. If a person is lazy in their personal life, then chances are they're going to be lazy when it comes to the relationship. They're not going to want to put in as much work. It's amazing to me to see, hey,
Damaris and
Damaris
Mother
and Mother
Mildred.
Mildred. It's amazing to me that a lot of guys or even women who don't work. Well, I'm just speak for the guys. A lot of guys who don't work, they'll stay home all day and do nothing because I don't know what it is, but if they're not willing to work on a physical job, then chances are they're not going to be willing to work on the relationship. The least you can do if you're out of work and things happen, people get laid off. I understand things. I've been laid off in the past, but I didn't just sit around all day. I was willing to take up the slack of the household work until I found a job. But you have to be willing to work on the relationship also, and I think that's something that we neglect a lot.
Right.
A lot of times we get into a relationship and we start working on it because we feel like the relationship is complete
Right.
because I have the person now.
I think, to be honest, I think most of the work starts after you have the person. Because I don't want to say it's easy to get someone, but we live in Atlanta, and I always joke about that, but we live in Atlanta, and women or men are somewhat a dime or a dozen. Now, if you find a quality person, I would say that, yes, of course, get them and sustain them and keep them. But I think the work actually happens after you all, say, I'm going to commit myself to be in this, what's the word that we use? The big word that we use. We're going to be in an exclusive relationship. That's what we say now. But I think that's where the actual work begins. It begins on, like Carl said, not just, becoming exclusive, but even with knowing that, going to work every day. Going to work every day is a big deal. And if this person can't show you that they're able to maintain their own life, then I think that that's something that you need to question moving forward. Because if you're not trying to maintain and it's just you, how are you going to maintain when it's you and I?
Yeah.
And oftentimes some people feel if their spouse may work, maybe if their spouse makes more than them, then they like, they think, okay, well, I'm just going to rest because my spouse got it, she the breadwinner. But no, it's equal. I mean, equal parties need to be bringing in. Now, unless you have a situation where your spouse is in school, even that's work because they're working towards getting their degree. And if they're a full-time student, but I'm just a firm believer. I'm not going to be at work working all day long and you're at home sitting on my couch that's just not going to happen. And to me, your actions that you show now show me what I'm going to deal with in years or months to come.
Yeah.
And people need to really look at that. Your actions show me now. If you're showing me now that you're not working or you're not aggressively trying to find something or you're not in school, that's a prerequisite to what your future may possibly look like. And I know people try to dumb it down and make excuses. Nowadays, there's so many, even if you don't want to go into an office job, you can Uber.
Yeah.
You can sit in your car and drive around. If you want to drive around all day in the city, there you go. Get a job like that. So you can still drive around the city and make money. But there is no excuse why you cannot put in the work. Unless you are disabled. And even when you're disabled, you still get a check. So come on, somebody. Yeah. But you still got to go down there and fill out the paperwork to get the check. But nevertheless, but if you are disabled and you physically can't, but even if you're a student, you're showing me that, you know what, you're investing in your education because you know that within a year or 2 years, you know, greater rewards will come because you've decided to invest in your education, and there will be a, God willing, a higher paying job that, you know, can sustain you and your spouse. But there is no reason why someone cannot physically go out to work.
Yeah. So I was saying, and I apologize, I'm looking down. We see everyone sharing the video.
Hi, y'all. Thank you for coming
sharing
in.
The video. Those of y'all who know that I'm also editing and making
Yes.
sure everything moves while the broadcast is going on. So that's why I'm looking down. I don't think I'm being rude. But yeah, you have to be able to put in the work, not only physical work, but also work on the relationship. Right. And so I think that's something that a lot of people just neglect and just care not to do. Hey, Patrick, what's up? What's up, Daco?
Hey, Patrick. Hey,
Appreciate
Myron.
Tuning in. Hey.
Hi, Allison.
Hey, my sister's here.
And I also would say, even with putting in work and investing into a relationship, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm looking down doing the same thing too. I think it's just as equal. Don't rest just because you have the person and you like, now I got them, you know, boom, it's over. No, it's not over. It's just began, because just as what you've done to get them, it takes to sustain a relationship, because no offense, other people still can be attracted to the person that you're with. There are other people that still may want what you have. And if they see that you're not investing, if they see that you're not doing anything to keep the relationship alive and to keep it, I don't want to say, spark, you know, you ain't gonna have sparks every day gonna be flying, but if you're not pouring into each other, people can tell that. People can tell that in a conversation. They can see how you all interact. Nowadays, people are passive aggressive on social media, so we can tell when y'all getting in arguments, especially when you popping off like, well, if you love me, you would have came to, you know. Don't do that. Maybe that's another podcast. Don't be passive aggressive with your spouse or your boyfriend on social media, because we can tell when you're doing that. But honestly, you know, really think, you know, because this is a lifetime commitment. Is this person worth me investing my time in?
Wow.
You know, is this person, am I really willing to, you know, like they say, to have in the whole, you know, in sickness and in health? Am I willing that if something happens to Carl, you know, God forbid, am I going to be willing to take care of him? Am I going to be willing to go to the nursing home when I get off of work and to care for my husband? Am I going to be willing to go up to the hospital? You know, am I going to be willing to suffer long? You know, that's that long suffering. That's a lot to think about. You know, is this person really worth it? And I do believe that people, like I said before, and Carl said it as well, people do show you how they are. Like, even when I wasn't dating Carl, when we were just talking, when I was thinking about it, he showed me that he was dependable, because there was times that I needed someone to be there to help me. And when I would call, he would show up. And it wasn't he was showing up because he was going to get something. He was just showing up because that's his character. And I think that's another thing too. Watch the person's character, because their character shows you what you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah. So got to be willing to put in the work. And if you're just joining us,
really, Carl,
we're talking about
gets on my nerves.
Are you the one? Listen, this is a Monday, and it feels like a Monday. I never say that, because I say that when you're pursuing your passion, every day feels like great, but man, this feels like a Monday.
So this ain't your passion today? You ain't passionate about the Loveless Marriage today? I'm just teasing though, because I'm tired. Look, so, I'm tired too. So.
And once again, if you're just joining us, tonight we will also be announcing the guest speaker for the first Loveless Marriage event. So I'm telling you, you won't want to stay tuned.
We are excited.
Yeah, we are very excited.
Very excited.
We got so much anointing in the house, and
oh my God, brother Dewan Sargent. I'm sorry, that's my brother. I love him.
We can't skip over. We got evangelist, prophetess, Rosalind Williams. We got Stephen Price on, Pastor Price.
I'm sorry, that's district elder to the ones
district elder.
That's district elder Stephen Price. Yes, and Justine. Yes, so thank you guys for tuning in. We love you guys. And I will say, even with doing this, it's funny, when Carl first mentioned us doing this podcast, I was like, oh God. But to me, this isn't bad work. This is good work. We get to honestly sit down and talk to you all, and we get to be honest, because we often said, you know, sometimes people don't always say the bad in the relationships. They tell you all the flowery good stuff. But even for us, I would say, this is helped our relationship. This has helped
Yeah.
our healing process of, being divorced and now remarrying and getting to learn each other and getting to love each other, because we believe that it's an everyday process.
Yeah.
It's an everyday discovery. You just don't, today when you wake up, you just don't got the love, all the love for your spouse. It builds and it grows and it expands. So, we are so blessed that you guys, tune in to us every Monday, and hopefully,
Yeah.
we give you some nuggets of wisdom that you guys can carry along with you. But yes, keep in mind, if you're not willing to put in the work with the person, don't waste your time.
Yeah. And again,
Stop while you ahead.
even doing this podcast week after week, and I was typing up the promo for it today as we posted it, and I put episode 10. This is our 10th episode.
Yay.
And it takes dedication. Like sometimes you're tired, sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but like even just putting in work, and it's just being committed to something.
Right.
People that are not willing to put in the work, I don't trust people like that, because everybody can talk good, everybody has great ideas, but when it comes down to putting in the work, nobody shows up. And we know that whether you're in business, whether you're in ministry, when it comes down to putting in the work, some of y'all are leaving y'all job, just getting home, complaining right now to your spouse that such and such ain't doing something, that they ain't
pulling their weight at work.
I got to do their work and my work. So we all know what it is when it comes to putting in the work. And a lot of people, amen, Brother Daco. But yeah, a lot of people, they're not willing to put in the work. And that's the real reason relationships fail. Relationships fail not because of infidelity, not because of money issues, not because of, a number of things, household issues. Relationships fail when two people stop working together.
And I was going to agree with you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'll be honest, and I'll tell anybody that was one of the reasons why my first marriage didn't last, because both parties have to be willing to work. And if you get to a point in your relationship and you're like, I am tired, it's not going to work. Because you can't be the only one pouring in. You can't be the only one wanting to make it work. And it doesn't work. Both, like Carl said, both parties have to be willing and wanting to make it work. Both parties have to say, you know what? I was wrong. You was wrong. We both was wrong. Yeah. But now that we've established that we both are wrong, what are we going to do moving forward to make this work? Because I guess that's the hard reality of it. People don't want to be honest. And I say, anybody talks to me or talks to Carl, we're probably about the most transparent, honest people you ever want to meet. It's a little scary sometimes because we can be like deathly honest. But I found that in my last marriage, it came to a point, we both weren't willing to make it work. And when you're both not willing to work, it's not going to last. It's going to fail. And you have to be honest with yourself to say, you know what? Even if I'll say this, even if you have to separate and take a step back and re-look at things and say, you know what adjustments can we make? Because of course, over time, things happen, incidents, life happens. Yeah. And you might have to take a step back and say, well, you know what? We may need to separate. Yeah. We may need to go to family counseling. We may need to see, what's happened in our relationship that's gotten us this far. And I don't think people are really honest about that either nowadays. Nobody wants to say, you know what? Whoa, there's something missing in this link. And we need to sit down and we need to talk about it. And I will say this, and I'm not opposed to church counseling. I think, having pastoral counsel is great for spiritual advice, but there's nothing wrong with seeking outside help.
And that's one thing. I'm gonna be honest. I've never really liked. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like spiritual counseling, but I think that we have such a closed mind when it comes to the church that we think that our pastor can be our everything. And a lot of times there are people who went to school, who studied human psychology, that are qualified to counsel you. I'm not saying that your pastor isn't, because he can give that spiritual advice. But there are some things in life that you need to talk to a qualified therapist, qualified counselor to. And if you don't agree, that's fine. But we are living, we are human. You are human first. And so a lot of times, a lot of issues need to be addressed. And then, to be honest, a lot of times in church, the pastor is related to the person I've seen this. The pastor is related to one of the people who are in the marriage,
Right.
and then that's the person you go to for counseling. Can they be impartial? Can they?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to ask yourself all these questions. And one word Ebony said that kind of stood out was adjust. You have to be willing to adjust.
Right.
Last year, when the Falcons were in the Super Bowl and they were down, they were up 28-3, I think.
Oh my God.
Going into halftime, broke my heart. But the reason why Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches, the reason why Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks, is not because they're the best. It's because they can make adjustments. They know how to adjust. And when you adjust, the other side is not prepared for that. The other side, they come in with a game plan. But when you adjust, you throw something at them that they're not prepared for. We even saw it in the Alabama-Georgia game. Georgia was up, winning.
Are we really doing this right now?
Yes, these are both my teams. I still feel some type of way about this. I'm a native Atlantean. But Alabama went into halftime, and they adjusted. They brought in a quarterback Georgia wasn't prepared for. And so a lot of times in marriage, you have to adjust. There's nothing wrong with saying something's not working. I don't care if you're 5 years in. I don't care if you're 10 years in. I don't care if you're 1 year in. You have to learn how to make adjustments in order to make your relationship work.
Right.
Maybe you as a person, you've never washed clothes, but your spouse is overwhelmed. It may be time for you to adjust and learn how to do some household work. Maybe you're a person who, hey, what's going on, Pastor Ware? Maybe you're a person who's never done yard work. You could be male or female.
Right.
But if your husband's working 14-hour days, and sometimes you have to learn how to adjust.
Right.
You have to counsel that the idea that we've learned that there are men jobs and there are women jobs inside the household. Don't get me wrong. I think every man should work. That's just how I was raised. That's just what's in me. But when it comes to helping out around the house, handling the kids, handling laundry, handling cooking, preparing meals, you have to learn how to adjust, and you can't feel less of a man or less of a woman because you have to adjust and take on a role that you previously haven't had to do.
Right. And I think you have to be willing to honestly think about, you have to, it's so funny, the Bible says count up the cost. And it's just not talking about spiritual terms. You have to think about it relationship wise terms as well. You know, you need to count up the cost to say, you know what, is my partner worth this relationship? You know, is our relationship, is everything that we've been through to this point, is it working it out? Is it work making adjustments so that we both are happy? Because sometimes, you know what, you might be carrying a little bit of the extra load, and you might not, I don't want to say is used to that, but if that's what that situation needs for this moment, you know, if this is a season, I'm trying to be all churchy. If this is a season in your life where, you know what, your spouse may be in school full time and you may be the only one working, you know what, you have to make the adjustments to say, you know what, this is not a temporary problem for right now. This is the moment that we're in. And after this is over with, then things will level out. But you have to honestly, you have to be realistic and be honest and talk about your feelings and say, you know what, you may be a person that's never done laundry. Now's the time to say, you know what, babe, help me, you know, and tell your partner what you need, because you cannot expect, you know, I can't expect Carl to read my mind, even though sometimes I would love it if he could. And sometimes I would love to read his, but I have to tell him.
You don't want to read my mind.
I don't want to read his mind. He don't want to read mine either. But, you have to be honest and say, you know, what adjustments need to be made. And if you care about your spouse and you care about your relationship and you want it to last and you want it to sustain, have to have the honest conversations to say, you know what, babe, something's going on and I don't know what it is, and this is how I'm feeling. You have to be willing to recalibrate. I mean, we take our cars in to get oil change. We take our cars in to get service. We go to the doctor. You're supposed to go to the doctor to get your wellness exams. You know, you might need a wellness checkup in your relationship, and be honest about it. My godbrother said, that's so true. And that's a narrow perspective of the African American church in many cases. In a lot of churches or other cultures, they have secular counselors on church staff. And that is so true. Yeah. I think we honestly, he is right, in the African American community. I mean, I'm not dogging it because we are a part of that wonderful community. You know, everybody's like, take everything to the Lord in prayer. Yes, you can take everything to the Lord in prayer, but the Bible does give you people, examples in the Bible, that there were doctors, that there were lawyers, that there was tax collectors, that there were fishermen, that there were people had jobs. So if they had jobs in the Bible, God has given us qualified professionals that have went to school, that have went for counseling, that can help you. And nothing is wrong with taking advantage of outside counseling. Oftentimes we put so much on our pastor that, no offense, our pastors get burnt out, and then they need counseling because they're overwhelmed, because they're trying to balance their life, the church life, and your life too. Give your pastor a break a little bit and seek outside counseling. I don't think he would be mad at you.
And I was about to say,
he or she will be mad at you.
A lot of people in church have mental issues. And I'm not,
right.
And I laughed when I said that, but I thought about it and I said, that's really true. A lot of people in church have mental issues. And we think this stuff is...
Everything's not a demon.
Yeah, everything's
not a spirit.
Everything's not a demon. Everything's not a spirit. No,
some
you
people
need some real. You
need medicate. Some people really need medication.
Like
seriously,
some people, their levels are off. You need to balance your whatever. But some people really are bipolar. Like, listen, this stuff is real, and so we have to. And then when that person snapped, we say, "Oh, somebody wasn't praying." No, somebody was praying. They wasn't, but we didn't offer them the help that they needed. And so we have to come out of this bubble.
Yes.
In the black church. And I was just thinking about that today, and we're not gonna get off topic because we'll move on. But but yeah, we'll leave that. So statement number 3 is they're willing to put in the work. How do you know they're the one?
I need him not to just cut off in the middle.
I had to cut. You know what? We'll do a separate podcast on mentally ill church people because we got to cut that off. But yeah, and so how do you know they're the one? How do you know they're the one? Statement 4. It feels different from everything that has come before. It feels different from everything that has come before. And if you're watching also on tonight, we're going to announce our first guest speaker for the first Loveless Marriage event on June 30th. We're going to have a Loveless Marriage event. Great speaker. You're going to be surprised when we put his picture up and his name. But this feels different from whatever has come before. This is a tricky one because coming into this relationship, I'll just be transparent. Ebony always said we're transparent, and we are. Coming into this relationship, it felt so different that I said it can't be the one, because I didn't feel what I felt when I met my ex, or I didn't feel what I felt when I met a previous girlfriend. It just didn't feel the same. And so a lot of times when we say it's going to feel different, it's going to first feel like a bad thing, because you're going to say, I wasn't head over heels like I was the first time, but look at how the first time turned out. And see, you have to go back and look at your previous relationships and say that maybe I rely off of that nose wide open feeling that I ignore. Was this person good for me? You know, could I actually love this person? Does this person share my same purpose, share my same values? You know, can I grow with this person? A lot of times it's not going to feel the same way you felt the first time, but it's going to feel right, but it's going to scare you a little bit. And it's going to scare you a little bit, but that was a smart answer. She said in Georgia. That ain't right.
Hi, Shanta.
Shanta, I would not have approved that answer.
Whatever. But no, Shanta knows I'm being funny.
But no, a lot of times it's going to scare you the way it's going to feel, because imagine seeing the person that you prayed for, or imagine seeing the person that you know is connected to you. You know, when Adam saw Eve, he looked at her and said, she's bone of my bone, flesh. Like, what does that feel like? It's not going to feel like anything else you've ever felt before. And so you have to accept the fact that when you meet that person, it's going to feel different from anything you've ever felt before. And I think it feels different because it's more than just physical attraction. It's more than just an intellectual attraction. You know, in the past, I've been attracted to people intellectually. Have you ever been with a person and they hit all the criteria on paper, but when you're with them, something just doesn't feel right? You know, a person can have the best job, can have the best looks, can have money, can have drive the nicest car, dress nice, smell good. But when you're around them, you just don't feel that connection. And then you say to yourself, we should be good together. But there's just not that purpose connection. I think that's what it is. I think when it comes to even me and Ebony, I felt something when I was around her that I didn't feel with anyone else. And that was, this person is tied to my destiny. This person is tied to my purpose. And I think a lot of times it's going to feel different and it may scare you, but you have to be willing to accept that it's going to be different when you meet the right one.
So I will say this. I totally agree with Carl. And it freaked me out and made me feel weird. And I didn't like it at first because I felt it was like a what's the word I'm trying to look for? It was a conflict within, because like you said, I was so used to having this, as my mom would say, you too old to be having butterflies in your stomach, you know, you grow up, you know, ain't no more times for butterflies. But it wasn't a bad feeling. It was just like, okay, this is weird. And you know, certain things, even after we had our first date, I was sitting there, I was like, wow, so this is what it's like to be equally yoked with someone. And I'm like, okay, why am I thinking like that? I've never thought about it like that. And it wasn't like we had some deep spiritual conversation. We just had simple conversation and we talked, and I just felt safe. I felt like, okay, this is cool. And sometimes I'll say this, when you go through, and I'm not going to cry because I'm not feeling it, but I'm just going to announce that I'm not going to cry. Sometimes when you go through different relationships and you've had some traumas and you've had some struggles and you had the difficulties in the past, your guard is up because you're waiting for the bag to fall out. You waiting for them to jack up. You waiting for them to screw up, so to speak, if I be blunt about it. Yeah. And then when you're with the person that God has presented you with the person that you can see yourself with, it gets scary because you're like, wow, this person, you know, I could see myself with them, and then it comes a point when you start praying and asking God, you know, show me signs. Like I've spoken before with previous guys, I asked God, show me signs if this ain't the one. And he would show me signs and I still chose to ignore them. I was like, oh no, Jesus, it's just a bad day and the light didn't hit the sun right. And I would come up with excuses, but then I had to keep telling myself, you asked God to show you. And now that God is showing you, why are you trying to hold on? And with Carl, it was a ease. It was a scary, eerie ease. Mm-hmm. And even now, sometimes I'm like, are you sure you're okay? Because it doesn't feel like it's forced. And I tell some people, and people ask us like, God, have you guys been together for a long time? And I'm like, no, but it's comfortable. And I believe that there are some things that you can ask God for and God will give them to you. But the key thing is accepting it. And I guess that has been the biggest thing for me is, okay, accepting this. Like, okay, God, this is good. This isn't going to fail. This is going to work and it's going to last. If I do what I have to do, if he does what he has to do, you know, this relationship can be sustained. And I'll tell somebody out there that if you are fearful, it's okay to be fearful. I know people say fear is of the devil. I got it and I get it. But there is still points and moments in your life that fear does creep in. Fear is a natural human feeling. And also it can be a natural feeling to say, you know what? Wow, I have peace that I haven't had in a long time.
Yeah. And a lot of times with feeling different is that, let me say this, and I said this, and it's going to be in our book that we are going to write.
Pressure.
But you have to look at it like this. When God sends you the person that's meant for you, they may not be your type. Right. Now, let me say this about your type. Your type may be the reason you're still single. Your type may be the reason your relationships never work out, because your type may not be healthy for you. Your type may not be a good fit for where you are going.
Right.
You know, you have to accept the fact that God knows what he's doing when he created that person for you. Just because he didn't make them the skin color you like, the height you like. Let me tell you something. A lot of sisters
Here we go.
have passed over a lot of good men because they weren't tall enough, because they weren't light enough, because they didn't have the curly hair, because of a lot of crazy physical stuff. Don't get me wrong. I know we all want certain things.
Right.
But at a certain point, you got to realize that the tall, dark, good-looking guy done did you wrong 20 different times.
You tall and dark.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
I'm just teasing.
But no, a lot of times, hey, Mama Naila. But Sister Allison.
Hey.
Jaworski.
Hey,
preacher.
prayer warrior, Allison.
But thank you, my brother Myron Boyd.
Thank you, brother boy. Love you too, Jaworski.
A lot of times, I think it just comes down to this. Your type is the reason why you're single. You're the type of woman I liked when I was in the world, when I was, out there single, was not good for my health. It just wasn't. It was not conducive for me living a peaceful life. And so you have to let go of this image of my type, because God has who he has for you. And when God presents them to you, you can't say they're not my type, because guess what? You might not be their type either.
Oof.
But you two may be good for each other.
So I think Carl might be talking about us. But we will be. I guess, like we said before, we'll be honest and transparent. I'm on one today, Shanta. I'm sorry, girl. Inbox me. We'll talk. But no, I will be honest. When I met Carl, and people know I have a joke. My type was tall. Type. Oh Lord, God, you get on my nerves with that.
I ain't light skinned enough.
Okay. That was one thing. I was color struck. I was like light skinned, bald, tall, thick. There were certain things that I liked. Carl is not like, only thing you ain't is light skinned and bald. That's all you ain't.
And I ain't thick. I done lost 10 pounds in the last week. I'm getting this weight off of me. Get that. Let me read some.
Be quiet. Whatever. Anyway. Okay. So, but honestly, going back to what we were saying, and honestly, it messed me up a little bit. And I ain't trying to be funny. If anybody knows my daddy is chocolate. I think my daddy is the prettiest chocolate man alive. So I don't know why I had issues, but my mama said I had issues, and I probably did have issues. But it kind of was like, okay, God, like on paper, everything I wrote in my journal, everything I pray about, everything I have my friends touching and agreeing on is Carl Butler. And he's sitting here in front of me. Dang, my phone just died. He's sitting in front of me, and like, God, I believe this is the man that you have for me, but I'm getting attitude because he ain't light skinned and bald. And and then I had to think too, like he said, I might not be his type, because and nothing's wrong with being a single mom with 4 kids. So please don't take this the wrong way. But somebody might be like, well, you know what? I might not, even though he did want a woman with children. There may be a woman out there that a man may be talking to, and in his mind, he's like, ooh, I didn't want, to raise someone else's children. But God, you've done something in me that changed me, that, I want this woman. So I be honest, I had to make adjustments on my end. I had to get my mind right. And even in prayer, and I told God, and I believe in being honest with God. And Carl and I both say, when we pray, we are extremely honest with God. I told God, you know what, God, he may not be quote unquote yellow and light skinned and bald like I would want to quote unquote have, but this man has everything else that I want, and I know that I need in my life. So if this is what you have for me, God, I'm cool. I can't pray and ask God for certain things, and even in our relationship, there were certain things in our relationship that I had said, I asked God, and I put time limits on. I don't want to say I put time limits on God, but I said, God, by within these 2 weeks, I want to see this happen. And every time I would pray for something to happen in our relationship, or for me to see something in Carl, or for him to say something, it would be like clockwork without fail. And I'm like, I'll be a fool to pass up on a good man because of not being light skinned and bald.
Yeah.
And I would tell you as a woman, if he ain't tall enough, but all the other things is there, get over yourself. You ain't gonna be in heels all the time. I'm just sorry. I mean, and you gotta honestly think about it. You know what? You gotta grow up too. Sometimes, like, grow up. I can't cuss on here because this is Facebook, but grow the heck up. You have to honestly be honest with yourself and say, you know what? Am I willing to lose this person just because of something that's so trivial at the end of the day? Because this person may be a godsend. This person may be exactly what I need, but I'm so stuck on stupid, and I've waited. You know, you stuck on stupid.
Yeah.
And you can miss out and somebody else take what you could have had and say, you know what, he might not be my type either, but honey, I see the goodness in him, or I see the goodness in her, and I'm willing to ride it out. I'll get over myself. I'll get over it. Or even if you don't get over it, okay, what? They chocolate, they skinny, they extra thick. But hey, oh well, life goes on.
Yeah. So, hey, we appreciate who came in. Minister Tarplin. We appreciate you tuning in, you and your wife.
Our now faith brother.
Yeah, now faith brothers and sisters. The mayor said y'all better preach. No, but you have to let go of this idea of type. You have to listen. I ain't trying to be funny or nothing, and don't take this the wrong way. But we're not in our 20s no more. When I was 20, I was
He wasn't. I've seen pictures.
Yeah, I was.
I'm just teasing.
I still got the lines in my stomach from the 6-pack I had, and that was a long time ago. But listen, you have to accept. You got to accept the fact that you may not get that Coke bottle shape. Like, you may not.
Honey, I was a junior Coke. I've gained weight.
You might not get that, and a lot of people. A lot of people are single simply for this.
Right.
That you were so focused on the outside,
right,
that you never got to know that person. And it amazes me. And if it's you, just go ahead and don't say nothing. Just hit the lights or the heart. But so many times that the most unqualified people want the most qualified people.
Ooh.
There are men and women. You want the person you meet to make 6 figures. You want them to be driving a Benz. Want them to already have a house. Want them to have good credit. Your credit is a 200 score. 200. You driving an old hoopty. You ain't got you on temp work from week to week because you can't hold a job because you're always doing something crazy. You always late to work. Always missing days work. You want a person with everything together, but you don't have your life together yet. Wow. And a lot of times that stops us from having meaningful relationships because you got to realize you are not there yet.
Right.
You are not there. You cannot request of someone something that you don't have yet. Right. And so if you don't have that 6-figure job, you can't get mad if the person God sends you is not making 6 figures. If they're a hard worker, if they are have ambition, that's great. But don't get mad and don't ask God for something that you don't possess yourself, and then get mad when the person you meet don't have those same qualities.
And I'll also say, be totally honest with God. He can handle your honesty. And I think sometimes we forget that, like Carl said, we have to be honest in our talk, in our communication with God. You can't say, okay, God, I really want all this stuff. And then he presents you with somebody. You're like, I can't do it because of this. I can't. And he's like, really? Like, I'm trying to give you the desires of your heart. Yeah. Because if you honestly think about it, we always say, God, I want the desires of your heart. But I guess when he gives it to you, then your desires of your heart will really come out, because you're out of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So what do you really want at the end of the day? Do you want somebody to look pretty? Or, because, pretty don't always fit the bill.
It don't.
Pretty might not always fit the pretty might look good on Instagram. Pretty might look good on Facebook. Pretty might look good in pictures, but pretty might be hell. Pretty might suck. Pretty might
Pretty is lazy.
Kick rocks.
I ain't gonna lie. Pretty is lazy.
So
I don't know what it is.
I'm not, and please, if you're pretty or beautiful, we're not hating on you
We ain't
at
talking
all.
about you. We talking about the one.
Jesus,
Like,
please
this ain't
don't.
about you.
We're not. Yeah, we don't want hate mail in our inbox.
Yeah. No, I can't. You know what? I can't say that. But in my experience, I said pretty is lazy. I can't even say that. But
because pretty's not lazy.
Yeah,
Everybody's
we ain't
different.
saying that. Everybody's
so please
different,
don't
but, you know.
say that. But we're just saying you have to really reevaluate what you really want and be honest about what you want. I'll say that.
So
be extremely honest about what you want.
Mama Naila said we miss our blessings when we bypass who God sends us. Like you said, get over yourself. Minister Tarplin, I love the transparency. Let's grow together. Somewhere powerful. The most unqualified people want the most qualified people. Myron J. Boyd, that deserves an offering, praise break, and a promotion title to bishop. Listen.
Cash App.
Listen,
We on Cash App.
Cash App.
Cash App. Turn to your neighbor and say Cash App.
My name is Purposeful. Go
My
to
name is
cebutler.org. Hit that giving tab. And the Lord's going to bless you real good.
I'm Ebony M. Price. I think I changed it to Butler, but you'll see the face with the short hair. That's me.
I'm speaking a 3-day blessing right now for anybody who goes to that Cash App. I'm speaking it. It might not come to pass, but I will speak a 3-day blessing in your life. No, I'm just playing.
3 days that have to be in this, not in this week. It might be next week
I ain't
or the
say
week
what
to
3
come.
days.
We ain't say which 3 days, but it's coming.
But
we're teasing.
Bishop Joel Trout said a donkey trying to run the Kentucky Derby, and that's what it is. Like you're not even
Dang, Bishop, that was tough.
A stallion. Like
you ain't no thoroughbred.
You ain't no thoroughbred. You trying to run.
Dang, Bishop, that was rough. Dang.
But nah, we a lot of people and when I said earlier, pretty is lazy. I'm not saying all pretty people are lazy. But what I'm saying is,
take that the wrong way.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that a lot of times, just because the package is pretty, doesn't mean they're going to always be willing to put in the work, which was our third statement. They're willing to put in the work. Now we're dealing with this feels different. And also, this is a Facebook Live video. You see the changing screens.
Yes.
If you need podcast work, if you need Facebook Live work, please hit me up in my inbox. Go to cebutler.org. Put in your requests.
He will put in the work. He will put in the work to make your stuff look right.
Yes.
So.
And so we're hitting up our last question. And don't leave. Do not leave, because once again, we're going to announce our guest speaker for our first purpose. Not purpose. I'm still on the purpose.
It's not about you.
Yeah.
God,
on the
about
first
us.
Loveless Marriage event on June 30th. On June 30th, we're going to announce our first speaker after this next statement. So the next statement is the last thing you should ask yourself, the last thing you should examine when you're in a new relationship is easy. Is it easy?
Is it easy?
Listen, relationships don't have to be hard. Don't get me wrong, they'll work. Mm-hmm. But if you go to a job that you enjoy, you will never work a day in your life. If you have a business that you enjoy, you will never work a day in your life. So if it's true about your job and your business and your friends, if you have friends that you enjoy, it's never wasted time. Right. So if it's true in all those areas, if you have a spouse or a person you're dating that you enjoy, it's never going to be a hard day's work. Don't get me wrong. Things get hard and things, everything every day ain't going to be, hey, how you doing? I love you, blah, blah, blah. But it'll be easy. It'll be easy to work through problems. It'll be even your arguments. Y'all won't hit below the belt, and even if you do, you're quick to apologize, and it'll just be easy. We're not saying relationships are easy. Some people are going to take from that and say, oh, they saying relationship. No, marriage is not easy. Relationships are not easy.
No.
But the willingness to make it work will be easy. The comfort level you share with that person will make it easy. And so you have to examine yourself. Is it hard? Do you text them and have to wait 2 days for a text back? That's hard. Do you have to stay on them when you call them? Are they at home playing video games instead of at work?
Right.
Is it hard? Like, people make things harder than they have to be.
Right.
And when you're in a situation when you're dating someone, if it's hard when you're dating them, if it's like pulling teeth when you're dating them, marriage does not change anything. Right. Marriage, as a matter of fact, marriage will Marriage will intensify the hardships. It'll and that's not the word I'm looking for, but it will magnify
There you go.
what's not right or what's good. And so ask yourself this last question. Is it easy? It doesn't have to be hard. When you find the one that's right for you, things will just flow. Like things will just lock in place and it will just be easy.
And I agree with Carl. And like you say, every day is not going to be tiptoeing. I can't talk today. Tiptoeing through the tulips. But like we said before, it's going to require work. We will both forever be learning each other. There will never be a time when I'm like, I got Carl down mastered. No, because he changes. Are there certain idiosyncrasies that stay the same about Carl? Yes, I can tell you his schedule, how he wakes up in the morning. I could tell you that kind of stuff because I've paid attention and I've watched his patterns. But will he throw some curves in there? Absolutely. But you know what? I know at the end of the day, when I come home, I'm not coming home to a man that's screaming at me, yelling at me. I'm not coming home to a man that's about to knock me upside my head. I'm coming home to a nice, quiet, calm house. I'm coming home to someone that really in the middle help him. I was about to call him a colonizer. I'm coming home to normal. And I told God, that's one thing I said, God, I don't want drama. I don't want to do drama. I did drama before in other relationships. I don't want that. I told God, I'm too old. I am too old for drama. I got 4 kids. I got, their little lives to deal with. I don't want to come home to somebody and they got drama. And yeah. I try not to bring home my work drama. I try to get it, honestly, I try to get all of if I'm angry at work or frustrated with something that's going on, I try to get all of that out on my whole hour and 20-minute drive home. So when I'm home, I'm like, hey, I'm chill, I'm cool. Like, and I tell people, and like I said before, sometimes I'm like, this scares me because it feels like this is too easy or this is too chill. Now, have Carl and I had some disagreements? Absolutely, because like we said, we're learning and growing. We're learning and we're growing with each other. But at the end of the day, you know what? I would be scared if I had to do this all over again because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
I do not know what I'm going to get. And at least I could say, you know what? God, I know what I have with Carl. And I know that there are certain things that I did pray for and I asked you for. And I believe that you've given me a man that possesses those qualities. And I think that's what you really need to be honest with yourself, because some people be like, oh, well, you live in Atlanta and there's plenty of fish in the sea and you can hook up with, yes, there are plenty of people out there. But you know what? I know what his vice is. He knows what my vice is. I don't know what those other people's vices are. And you don't know what the next fish that you might bait and hook, you don't know what you got to deal with. And you got to learn all of that stuff all over again. And sometimes you're like, you might not want to do that. You know what? I mean, and let's be honest. We often try to be like, we can find somebody. Yes, you can find somebody, but keep in mind, they might not like you. God may have sent you somebody that can tolerate your crazy tail. Mm-hmm. And we often forget that. I think sometimes we always look at ourselves from the place of perfection that, you know what, we forget that I do have some imperfections. There are some things about me that's a little stank. There's some things about me that somebody else might not want to deal with. Yeah. But you know what, God, you bless somebody to come in my life that says, you know what, I see your stank, but I'm willing to cover your stank and I'm willing to help you grow. I'm willing to help you get better because I know deep down inside it's a beautiful person. And I'm willing to chisel away at all of that anger, frustration, bitterness, unforgiveness to get you where you need to be at. And you have to honestly think about, you know what, is this person that I'm about to be with, like we said, is it worth the time? Is it worth the connection? Can I see myself helping this person go towards their purpose? Can we do this together? Can I see this person with, when I lay my head down at night, do I have peace? Yeah. Or is my mind constantly in turmoil because I'm worrying about, are they cheating? Are they doing this or doing that? I've had relationships where I've been like that. I had somebody, but I didn't have them. I had somebody verbally and I got a text message in the morning and throughout the day, but I didn't have them. And, when God gives you that peace and that it is of God, be okay with his yes. be okay with his yes. And even if you struggle, like, I know people say, just do it. And you might be fearful, and you might, Carl and I can be honest and say, there have been points of our relationship where we're doing this afraid a little bit. And we could say, you know what? Yeah, I know this may be good, but God, I'm still scared. I'm still nervous. But you know what? I wake up every day, and my motto is, if you can wake up every day and you can keep doing it, and you can keep pursuing your purpose together, if you can keep learning your partner, if you can see the beauty in what they bring to your life, it's worth it.
Yeah. And one of the phrases that you just said that we both hate when people use is, there are plenty of fish in the sea. Listen, there are some catfish in the sea that just sit on the bottom and just bottom feed. There are some piranhas. There are some piranhas in the sea. I'm serious, man.
That's deep.
That plenty of fish in the sea thing. That's just one of the dumbest things that people say.
There's some sharks out there.
There's some sharks. There is some Finding Nemos. We are in Atlanta. Y'all read into that what I said. Smart people, y'all get it. But Roman Tarplin said, we must learn to truly love our spouse unconditionally. True love doesn't have a light switch. And that goes back to one of the things that our bishop told us in marriage counseling, is that when you take your vows are not predicated on what the other person does.
Right.
When you promise to love, honor, cherish, be there through sickness and in health, the preacher doesn't turn around and say, okay, now only if you're willing to do this too.
Right.
No, your vows are between really you and God. And so you have to love that person even when they don't love you sometimes. You have to still cherish them even when they don't cherish you. Like, it's not like Minister Tarplin said, you can't just walk in the room and switch love on and off. Like, we're both divorced, but we'll tell you that even going through our divorce, like, that love didn't just get switched off.
Right.
Like, it's a process. Like, that's the reason why people get married 3 and 4 times, because you're still in love with someone. Just because you sign a piece of paper doesn't automatically make you fall out of love with that person.
Right.
And a lot of times we treat love, like he said, like it's just a
flick of the switch.
Yeah. And it's not like that. So you have to find someone that you're willing to do life with and willing to make it easy. And you got to be willing to make it easy on them. They got to be willing to make it easy on you. You have to have a real look in the mirror and write down the negatives about yourself. You have to say, I have an attitude sometimes. I don't feel like being bothered sometimes. I want to stay to myself. Somebody said that preachers are the worst people to marry. And a lot of times that's true. It really is true. So I can admit it. And that's what you have to do. You have to be willing to admit your negatives. Then your spouse's negatives won't seem so bad.
Right.
Because if you can have an honest conversation with yourself and say, look at all of my negatives, and this person is willing to deal with me for the rest of my life, I have to respect that. I have to love that. And then that takes the spotlight off of them and it puts it on you. Because imagine if both people did that, you wouldn't be in this competition with somebody else. Every time they do something wrong, you do something. It won't be this tit for tat.
Right.
It'll just be looking at yourself. Like, you have to take a realistic look at yourself. Like we said earlier, the most unqualified people want the most qualified people. But you don't realize how unqualified you are, because you put yourself way up here and everybody else way down here. Listen, if you're single and nobody has met your standards, nobody has met the things on your list, nobody has met what you wanted, it might not be them. It might be you. It just might be you, because you put yourself so high on a pedestal that nobody can climb up to where you are. And that's a dangerous place to be, because you'll probably be single for the rest of your life. Right. Because there are no perfect people. There are somebody perfect for you, right? But there are no perfect people.
And I would say, like Carl said, you have to do a real honest self-examination with yourself. And there's nothing wrong with being honest with yourself. And there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I might need to work on myself before I try to venture out there to be with someone. You know, like I've said before in a previous podcast, you know, I told Carl when we first became friends, I said, you know what, I'm not ready to be in a relationship. I just need a friend right now. Because there was some things that I was going through my mind of having my own insecurities of saying, you know, well, what's wrong with me? Do I need help? You know, I was going through my mind. I was like, you know, is there somebody honestly going to love me? You know, there's a lot of things that go through your mind, and you have to really have those honest, hard conversations with yourself to say, you know what, maybe I was doing something wrong in the previous, relationship, and where can I make adjustments? Because it's so easy for us to say them, but no, what's wrong with you? You know, I could say sometimes, you know, I snap off. I have that pop off ministry. I can say that about myself. But I also know, you know what, popping off at the wrong time, I might be standing alone. And you have to have those honest to God, realistic conversations with yourself and sit there and look at yourself and be real with yourself. And even if your partner brings it to your attention, you know what, take some self-examination, because like Carl said, you know, no one ever wants to admit that, oh my God, I'm not perfect. But no, they look at you and they see things sometimes that you don't even see. You know, and sometimes that's hard, but hey, if this person cares about me and they respect me and they want to see me grow, they're going to challenge you in areas that you may have never even been challenged in.
Yeah.
And that's needed in order to grow, to be better. Everybody can't be a yes man in your life.
Yeah.
You need somebody to clap back and be like, nah, you was wrong. Or you need somebody to help you get your life, as I was saying, and help you come to the light, Carolyn, to say, no, you know, I love you enough to, I'm going to correct you. Not like you're my daddy or my mama, but I want you to be better. And like we said before, you know, take that self-evaluation. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And what Minister Tarpon just said, he said a lot of times what we see in others are the things we need to check in ourselves, take a self-evaluation.
Right.
Ebony is the female version of me. And we've said I'm probably the male version of her. And I think that's what kind of attracts you to that person too. Like, you, not only do you see your good points in them, like you can see your faults. Like, like when we're having a heated moment and I'm like, just like me, and she's like, you just like me. Or when we're having a loving moment where we're similar. But it's amazing that a lot of times I don't know if it's the opposites attract.
Yeah. I
don't know what it is, but a lot of times what we don't like about someone else, we don't like it because we see it in ourselves. And a lot of times that you just have to get over yourself and say, wow, right, this is me.
Right.
Miss
So true.
Mrs. Tarplin, he said learn to listen to each other. That is, we actually just talked about that, and we're wrapping up. We actually just talked about that. You know, we went to this marriage type of couples thing.
Yeah, like it was a marriage date night. It was really good. We're gonna have him.
We learned that when couples argue or when they're trying to get their point across, you don't actually listen. You're just waiting to talk.
Yep, you're waiting to respond.
You're waiting to respond because you are just so sold on your point of view,
right?
That you don't care what they're really saying. You're not listening to them. You're just waiting to win the argument.
Right.
You're just waiting to bring up your point because your point is all that matters. Mother Naila said, I'm doing a self-evaluation right now.
Go ahead, mama.
But yeah.
But yeah, and even talking about what Carl said about the whole self-examination, and it was an actual listening exercise that the speaker made each couple go through, and it made you, and the person could not talk, whoever, so it was like one person had the floor and you could not talk. Yeah. So you had to repeat what that other person said, and it was a simple exercise, but even out of that simple exercise, Carl and I learned a lot about each other. Yeah. And it was effective in even dealing with issues of the past, because it for me, it helped me to see wow, so now I know why he may feel like this, and while maybe I've seen it and I never knew why it was there, but because I got to sit and listen and he got to hear me tell him that I heard him, it was powerful. And we'll probably will have the gentleman who facilitated the little couple thing. We might have him on, or actually maybe at one of our Loveless Marriage events we'll bring him in. But it was powerful, and sometimes you do got to shut up and just listen to your partner, because they could be right.
Yeah.
They could be really right.
And so we've gone over the 5 statements you need to examine when you're looking for the one. Are you the one? Statement 1, you like the person you are when your partner is near. You have a common purpose and you feel safe with them. They're willing to put in the work. This feels different from everything that has come before, and it's easy. And so, as we promised, we're going to announce our guest speaker. Who is our guest speaker? A couple of people actually guessed it on June 30th. We are going to host our first Loveless Marriage events, and the contracts have been signed, and we done
put some money on it.
Money down, and so it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, Captain.
Yeah, so the person's gonna be there, and so our guest speaker is. I'm gonna
I don't know if y'all can hear the drum roll. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear that. Whatever.
He's beating on my desk.
Sorry, we need to have a beat machine or something.
Okay, so our guest speaker, if y'all are still tuning in, is Mr. David Burris. So yes, we're gonna.
Like, no.
All the way from California. What part of California?
I think I don't know.
Okay,
it's from Cali. He coming from Cali.
All the way from California.
Cali.
A lot of you all follow him on social media. He is a relationship expert. He is post quotes every day. His posts have been seen thousands of times.
Right.
They get shared thousands of times. He is a great man of God. He's a great relationship person. We're expert. And so this is going to be open to singles. If you looking for a man, if you're looking for a woman, this is going to be open to singles. Elder Tarvin, we appreciate it. Said him and his wife enjoyed the broadcast tonight.
Thank you, guys.
If you are single, if you're engaged, if you're thinking about getting married, if you're married, if you've been married for a year or 10 years.
2 months.
Yeah, me and my wife have been married for 10 months now.
Yeah. Oh. I'm just teasing. Yeah. Tomorrow will be 10 months.
Yeah, so we've been married for 10 months, but between the two of us, we talked, and we have over 30 years of marriage experience. We're both divorced.
Go figure, right?
I know, but so, man, Tarplin said, "Don't do it. He's bald headed." I know, right?
It ain't that serious.
Yeah, but no.
But no, we are so excited, and actually, he is excited to be partnering with us in this event too. So even how, I guess I'll give a little bit of testimony. Even how God made it happen. I had saw something on social media that he posted that he was like, I would love to come to to Atlanta. I have a lot of followers in Atlanta, and it's weird how God works with me. I'm probably like the risk taker of our relationship. So when I see something, I'm like, I'm just going to act on it. I see it. God, I want it. I'm going to move on it. So immediately I went to his inbox. Mind you, he does not know Carl and I from Adam. Mm-hmm. So this isn't like we know this connection for 20 years. We just met this man, and I just inboxed him and I said, hey, I enjoy listening to your quotes. I've watched some of your podcasts. And I just talked to him and I said, hey, we would love to have you. My husband and I are starting a marriage ministry. Told him what it was. He reached out to me and said, this is amazing. I've been waiting for these type of God kind of connections. Mm-hmm. And we made it happen. I mean, within, honestly, I would say 2 weeks, everything came together. Yeah. And it was, I tell people sometimes, and our pastor tells us, when you're called, you'll get the call, or when it's meant for it to be, God will show up. He will make provisions. Like everything that we have needed for this event to occur is amazing. And one of our Facebook friends was like, oh, he's too expensive. We can't afford him. And you know what? Probably he is. But again, God worked things out to where we're like, when we hung up the phone talking to him, because he's such a humble and sweet man, we were just like, oh my God. Like, we sat in silence for probably about a good 20 minutes. Like,
because
God, you are good.
Because we were thinking for our first event, we was looking at hosting it at like, and I just had deja vu, had this conversation before, but we were looking at hosting it at a smaller event, like a little restaurant, and just having maybe a few friends. And when we connected with him, we literally had to go rent a ballroom.
Right.
And so it was like, it just goes to show that when you're walking in purpose, God will open doors.
Yes.
And like the Bible says, you know, and I pray it whenever I speak over the offering, that he will open windows that you don't have room enough to receive. He'll pour you out things that you weren't even expecting. And so when you start walking in your purpose, we've only been doing this podcast for 2.5 months. This is our 10th episode. But when we decided this is why God put us together to start this marriage ministry, God just started opening doors.
Right.
And so we literally had to go find a bigger space, and it's going to be amazing. I'm telling you, it's really going to be amazing. He's a great, first of all, he's a great guy. No, really I don't believe in working with anybody that I don't get along with on a personal level. I'm sorry, but you know, I wanna have a genuine fondness for the people I work with. I want to have a fondness for the people that I'm in ministry. You know, if we want to get churchy, you know, the Bible says, know them that labor among you. And so, you know, when you bring in people that you don't know, they'll bring in spirits that you don't know too.
Right.
And so, but we know him. We've prayed with him. You know, we've shared our goals with him in this ministry. And, you know, it's going to be a great event. I don't know if his wife is going to be there, but I know he will be there.
Yeah, he'll definitely will be there.
Yeah.
And like one thing I can say is, even after our first phone call with David, I call him Mr. Burris or whatever, I'm still respectful or whatever. When we hung up, before we hung up, he asked us, he said, what can I touch and agree for God to do in your life? It wasn't about him. He was like, I want to know, what can I touch and agree? What do you guys want God to do in your life? And that was powerful, because again, like we said, we don't know this man from Adam. Yeah. We talked to this man. Our first conversation was through Facebook Messenger. The second conversation we had with this man was on a verbal conversation on the phone. Yeah. And he was like, I believe in you all. I believe in what you're doing. I believe that, you know, certain things, God just doesn't, you know, make stuff happen. Certain things align itself. And we both, you know, from our takeaway, as our bishop says, you know, God gives you a token. And Carl and I both believe, like, this is a token for us to say, you know what, God is with us. And, you know, he's giving us provision for the vision, even down to the venue space of how much it costs. Like, God has given us provision for the vision, and we will be putting out a save the date. I will tell you, June the 30th from 6 to 9 at Clayton State University. Like Carl and I both said, the venue has already been taken care of. Everything, speakers wise, everything is in line, is worked out. Yeah. We just want to see you there. We will be putting up an Eventbrite link, and also the tickets. We will be doing 2 for $25 and 1 ticket for $15 for singles. So if you want to couple up with somebody, go ahead and do that. But I will say the seating will be limited. We are looking at securing 120 seats. So we are telling you now, so you can prepare. And we know it's going to fill up, because
we haven't even put it out yet, but it's going to. Yeah. When we put it out, it's going to fill up.
We're just talking to you all, so you guys kind of have like firsthand dibs on it. But by the end of this week, we will have the Eventbrite done, so you can go ahead and go on Eventbrite and secure your tickets. Or we might make it through CE Butler, but this is going to be powerful. He's actually been Mr. Burris has been ministering in California, and he's been telling his friends on the West Coast what's going on down here in Atlanta. So we know once he posted on his social media page, you know, again, this is the Loveless Marriage featuring David Burris, and we want you to come out for an evening to be inspired. We're not trying to tax the people of God. We don't believe in doing that. We're not trying to rape you. We want you to come out, have a nice evening, meet new people, fellowship, and walk away with getting some nuggets and some tokens that, you know, can help your life. And again, the tickets will be for couples. Like I said, you don't have to be dating or be married, but if you want to partner up with somebody, 2 for $25. If you're single, $15. Again, we'll be putting out a save the date probably tomorrow. Yeah. By the end of the week, we will have the Eventbrite created. We'll announce it on our page as well. So please be looking to our post, and we're going to keep you guys informed. And again, thank you for letting us come into your homes tonight. We understand that from 9, no, Lord, see, I'm tired. From 8 to 9, you could be doing other things, but you decided to tune into the Loveless Marriage, and for that, we are grateful.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Well, Stephanie Renee, Tasha.
Hi, Stephanie.
Tasha Cobbs.
Don't play her like that. She is in her own anointing.
Yeah, she is. Stephanie
bad. We haven't talked to Stephanie. I think I've talked to Stephanie, but Stephanie Renee probably will be doing a few opening worship songs for that evening with David Burris. So if you've never heard her minister, you are in for an absolute treat. Yeah. She's a phenomenal woman of God. Carl Butler, she has her own right, so don't try to play Stephanie Renee. She's a beast. Anybody that's heard her, I know that's Carl's one of Carl's best friends, so I'm just teasing him. But she is a beast. So if you're looking for an anointed woman of God that can preach and sing, look, I'm putting a shameless plug in for my girl.
She is a beast.
She is a beast. Go to her page, inbox her. Easter's coming up. I don't know if she got any engagements. I don't know if she's singing on somebody's platform for Good Friday or Sunday, but you'll want to have her at your church because she is an anointed woman of God, and she is humble, and she is sweet as pie, and the girl can sing.
All right. We appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Please share this video. Please tell your friends who we have coming for our first Loveless Marriage event, June 30th, Mr. David Burris. Once again, please follow us on social media on Facebook,
please, y'all,
Instagram,
follow
YouTube,
us,
and Twitter.
like our page.
Subscribe to our YouTube page. We want to get over 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year.
Yeah, by the end of the year, we won't be at 1,000, y'all.
Like, share this video, and we appreciate you all for tuning in. And we will see you all next Monday for another Loveless Marriage podcast. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, y'all.